Today I'd like to talk about freemium versus premium. Probably some of you are expecting me to talk, well, something about free-to-play. Well, I'm not gonna do that. My topic is a little bit different. And since our company specializes in freemium and casual gaming, we have our own view on what freemium is. So I'll try to give a little bit different perspective, not the usual one. So let us begin. Please take a look at this screenshot. This is a very important game for me. It is Pitfall for Atari 2600 console. It was published by Activision. And why is it important? Well, it was the first game I have ever played. When I was a little kid, my parents have given me a console, an old console, Atari 2600. And that was the only game I had at that time. And so actually I had, well, this was the only digital world I could, well, delve myself into. And it took some imagination to, well, have this look as a digital world. However, well, that was the only game I had, and I played it to death. And then, as I was growing up, the games were developing, the games were becoming more and more complex, the graphics were getting more and more beautiful. So basically, the market was growing with me. And today, we have something that looks like this. Well, kind of a different picture, isn't it? So here you can see a screenshot from Assassin's Creed, the Black Flag game. It was a recent game. It was released this, well, last year, I believe. And if you see, well, the graphics, if you have played that game, if you have seen the features, how feature-rich it is, then you'll probably understand that even a smallest thing, like a rock from that game, has more technology put into it than the whole game I have showed you before, the Pitfall. So why am I actually showing you this? Well, because starting from that old game, from the Pitfall, I have gotten, well, into the gaming, into the whole gaming industry. Pitfall was the game basically responsible for me being here today and talking to you. And as the games were developing, as they were getting more and more complex, the costs for developing those games grew. I want to show you two more games before we move to our subject, direct subject. This is Grand Theft Auto 5. Well, as you can see, it is an extremely well-received game, and it has brought lots of revenue to the developers and to the publishers. This is a huge game. It took around $200 million to develop. And it has brought more than $800 million in just 24 hours. As I said, the game is huge. It had a lot of people working behind it. It had a huge development team. It had the entire departments responsible only for the marketing of that game, to promoting it. Then there is another game, which is a little bit different. As you know, probably know, that is Minecraft. And it was basically developed or started to be developed by one person, Marcus Persson, also known as Notch. That game, it's not, well, you cannot really compare it to Grand Theft Auto in case of revenue. However, as you can see, it has also generated more than $30 million while it was still in alpha. It wasn't even released and it was already popular. Today, this game is one of the most played games on the PC platform. These games are very different because one had a huge team behind it, another one was developed by one person. However, they have something in common. Both of these games are premium titles. What is premium? Well, for those of you who haven't heard the term before, you can describe it this way. First you pay, then you play. It's pretty straightforward. You go to the store, you see the games on the shelves. Each game has a price. Well, If you're ready to pay that price, you pay it and you get the game. The same thing goes, well, for digital distribution. If you go to the Steam page and you see a title which you like, you see the price for it, you pay the price, you get the game. So premium is basically, premium games have an upfront price. If you're not ready to pay for it, you're not getting the game. Then, as you pay the price, you get an access to the entire content, to the full content of the game. So you are installing Minecraft, as you can see it over here, and basically you can play it. You can play the entire world, you can go exploring, there are no limitations for you. In premium titles, there are typically little to no in-app purchases. Well, today it's not maybe the case as it was earlier. Today, in-app purchases are becoming more and more popular in the premium titles as well. However, it's not that common as in free games. So when you buy Minecraft, you're not, well, told, okay, now you will buy a skin for the character, or now you will buy a sword, and you have to pay additional money for that inside the game. You're just getting an entire game. So premium titles may also have a demo or a trial version. You can try the game, you can play a little bit of it, you can see what it is, and, well, if you like it or not. However, today, again, demos and trial versions are not very popular. You see less and less of them. Why does that happen? Why don't we see so many demo versions anymore? Well, as I have said, the production costs for the game are climbing, are constantly climbing. And today, it is extremely expensive to develop a large AAA game. So if you are designing a demo for that game, it's not always easy to just cut a part of that game and give it out. Well, the content is expensive. Developing the demo may be expensive. And also, some developers don't actually want you to see the gameplay. It is much easier to tailor a trailer or, well, to create some nice screenshots and put some nice filters on them and show the players and say, hey, look, our game looks good. It's really nice one. You should play it. You should go and buy it. However, if you give a player a demo, well, the player will be able to see for himself what your game is actually like. So probably you have heard about the controversy with the large game, extremely, well, weighted game, which was called Aliens Colonial Marines. Well, basically what has happened, the game, when it was released, it was nothing like the trailer showed, and nothing like the press version. So there was a lot of stink, well, on the internet about that, and in the media. So sometimes that happens, and, well, the publishers, they don't want that to happen, and developers, they don't want that to happen. So, well, we don't see that anymore so much. Premium titles work extremely well in certain conditions. They work extremely well on consoles. They work extremely well on PC. Here you can see a logo of a company that has a very interesting story behind it. It's an Atari, the largest, well, game publisher at their time. And something has happened. And in 1983, there was an event in the gaming market that many people know as the North American game crash. It was also known as an Atari shock. Why is it called an Atari shock? Well, because the Atari has actually, well, failed and bankrupted in that year. How did it happen? Well, they were the huge publishers. They had lots of money, they had lots of titles, they had their very own console, as I have showed you, Atari 2600, the first game I have showed you today. So, why? Well, basically, the situation was like that. The market was extremely oversaturated with games. Everyone wanted their game out there to be bought. And everyone thought, well, the gaming was developing and everyone wanted a piece of that market. Everyone wanted to get in before it actually fails, because there was a fear that the gaming was a fad, basically. like, it was just a thing at that time, and it will pass, and that's it. So everyone wanted a piece. And everyone started releasing lots and lots of games and consoles and gaming computers and whatever. So what has happened? The market was oversaturated. People didn't know what they were going to buy. Because when you have that many games, and at that time there were like 12 gaming consoles, there were also gaming computers, and each of them had their own library of games. So, and some of those games were not really up to par with their quality. So when you see those many games and you don't know if you're going to pay and get a decent game out of it, well, you don't buy those games. And the market basically imploded on itself. And the Atari failed, well, to keep up. They failed to change enough to, well, to keep themselves in the market. They have tried to keep, well, releasing games. They have tried to stay in the market. And they have done that by releasing 2 games. Pac-Man, it's a very well-known game. It was a port from the arcade machines. And the second one was E.T. Well, the game which is basically notorious for its horrendousness. It's known as the worst game ever developed by anyone. So they have released these 2 games trying to stay in the market, and of course everyone who have bought them, they have seen what kind of games those were. And, well, no one actually wanted to buy them anymore. They did not manage to sell those E.T. games. So they basically had them put, all the unsold copies had been put on the trucks and driven into the New Mexico desert and buried there. It has become a kind of an urban legend. And some people don't even believe that it has ever happened. However, most say that, well, it did. And some people are actually looking there, trying to dig out those games, because now they would be extremely expensive if you dig them out and try to sell them for the collectors and so on. So that was the case when the premium monetization model actually did not manage, well, to stay effective. And today, if we see, well, these charts and look at the numbers that show us the annual growth of the market with each year, we can see that the market is growing, again, fast, extremely fast. It's exploding. Today, the gaming market, it has almost, it is almost larger than the movie market and the DVD market and the music market. By the year 2018, it is expected to exceed those. So there is one particular part that is growing the fastest. As you can see, it is green over here. And if you look at the top, you can see what part is that. Mobile games. Mobile gaming has become a thing only in 2008, around that time. Well, why did it happen? Well, because Apple has released iPhones. The gaming market was pretty much non-existent before that. There were some games you could play. There were like Java games on the old phones. There was Snake on old Nokia phones. And also Nokia tried to get into the market by releasing the Engage device, which was a failure because no one actually wanted it. It was unclear how to play the games, how to get them. It wasn't very convenient, so, well, it didn't launch pretty well. However, Apple came and they said, okay, now you and you and you and you need iPhones because of reasons. Because here you have an ecosystem, it's really easy to get apps. You just press the button and you have fun. That's it. You don't have to look for games. You don't have to, well, try and figure out if the game is going to run on your device. It will. You just press the button, that's it. It's easy. And so the mobile gaming has started growing pretty fast. So why am I now talking about the mobile, well, gaming? Because the situation with the mobile gaming is extremely similar to what was happening with the, well, core gaming in 1983. And something is going to happen if the premium system was going to stay well for the mobile gaming. And well, as I have said, the mobile gaming is taking over the market. The new systems were required. So here we move to the system which I want to talk more about today. Imagine you are a developer. You are a single person developer, or you have a small company of people, like a small team that is going to release your game on the market. So you develop your game and you put it on App Store. What's going to happen? Well, pretty much nothing. No one is going to know what that is. No one is going to know who you are, because more than 1,000 iOS apps are getting released each day only on iOS. Each day. So if you compare to the console market, which is dominant now, you have like what? Few games per month. So when you have a few games per month, then the press can cover them quite easily. Users can, track them easily and know what those games actually are. But when you have 1,000 apps per day, then you release your app among those 1,000 and you expect everyone to buy it? Well, not gonna happen. So what do? Well, there are some things you can do. You can find a publisher who is going to take, and promote your game, who is going to take on the marketing and try to get the users for your title. You can also, try to promote it yourself. You can go to the social networks. You can try to communicate on forums or wherever you want, trying to, get people to try your game and then somehow generate more people, maybe by the word of mouth. However, there is one thing that you should not do when you release your game on the mobile market and you are not a well-known publisher or developer. You should not put a price on it. If there is a price, you cut down like 95% of the users that are seeing your game. So there would be like, okay, if there were 10 people who were going to try your game, and then you cut 9 of them out. So premium doesn't work for the mobile market. Why doesn't it? Well, because it works in some conditions. And those conditions are the following. Well, when the competition is not too high, the premium works. As I have said, the console market, few games are getting released each month. Everyone knows what those games are. You can open an online magazine or some kind of a website or, a review website and see what is coming out. And then you can decide, okay, I want that game, I want this game. Those ones I don't. That's it. The games are covered. The press knows what games are coming out. They can make previews, they can make reviews. They can tell the people what kind of games are getting out. So competition is not too high. Premium may work well. You have a well-established franchise. That's another condition. If you have a brand name that everyone knows about, of course people will be waiting for your game to be released. You don't have to worry much that it will not be known, that people will miss it. Many people are waiting for it. So premium may work. Again, the console market can be a good example. If you target niche areas, imagine you are a developer that only does, train simulators. Then probably there is an audience out there that knows about you, because not many people do train simulators. So if you are the one releasing it, they will know about it. They will try to get your game because there are no alternatives. It's a niche. If your game is not a service, today it is very common for any developer, for any publisher to want to make not only a game, to develop not only a game, but to provide a continuously running service. And if you are doing that, then you need audience. You need to reach as broad of an audience as you can. Because even those users that are not going to, well, to buy your game, if it's a free title, they are still going to bring something in. They're going to watch the ads. They are going maybe to go on the social network and write a review about your game. They're going to go on the market and give a rating to your game. Again, they will generate some profit for you. So if the reach is not a priority, then premium, again, it works. However, it doesn't if you want to reach a broad audience because of the same reason as I have told you before. You put a price, you cut down part of those people that would actually download your game if it was free. So you put basically a barrier willingly. Take a look at these numbers, please. Around 70% of all revenue on iOS comes from the in-app purchases of the free games. Only 25% comes from actually, well, paid games, and only 5% comes from the in-apps in those paid games. So free games bring more revenue because of those reasons I have told you already. So probably you would expect me to say something about free-to-play. However, as I have told you before in the beginning of the presentation, many people have already talked about free-to-play, and probably there will be people today also talking about free-to-play. And I'm not going to do that. I'm going to talk about freemium as we understand. So what is freemium? There is a lot of confusion surrounding the term freemium itself. The word actually comes from kind of a splicing two words of free and premium. So if you go and try to look up what freemium actually means, then you will find dozens and dozens of different definitions of the word. Every developer, it seems, and every publisher has their own definition of what freemium actually is and what kind of monetization strategy it is. And I'm not going to go in deep into those opinions. What I'm going to do, I'm going to give you our opinion, which has worked for us and which has made our games extremely popular, extremely well received. So, what is freemium? Freemium is a monetization strategy when you give out a piece of the free content, a piece of your free game to the player without putting any restrictions for that content to be played. Well, basically, you give a self-sufficient part of the game to your users, and they can play it as much as they want without time being limited, without you continuously asking, okay, you don't have lives anymore, please, well, pay $2 and get more lives. Or you buy the crystals in our game and you use those crystals to make the game easier. You just give a self-sufficient part of the content and you only charge for additional premium levels of that content. Here you can see on this chart, I have basically, well, shown how that happens. You have the free content over here. It doesn't cost anything. However, when the player finishes that content, he may decide that he wants the rest of the game, more of that, more of the same or more of the new features. Then you can either provide the rest of the content for a price, or you can actually split that content into several packs and offer the player to buy those packs one by one. Both of those, well, monetization strategies work pretty well because what they do, they allow the player to experience your game before buying it. And even more, they're not only allowing to try the game, they're allowing to play like a proper part of it. It has no limitations feature-wise. It has only those limitations that you put on the content. So some of you may think, okay, what's the difference between freemium and, let's say, premium with the trial period or with a demo? I have showed you before the game, which was, well, Minecraft. Some of you probably have played it, and you may probably know that Minecraft has a trial version. If you go to the Minecraft website, you can find a version that you can play for free. However, that game is extremely limited, that version of the game. You can only place blocks, remove blocks. That's it. You cannot do anything else. So that you cannot call that freemium, because you are not providing the player a valid part, a self-sustained part of the game. The player will never know what the game is actually like by playing that, well, by just placing blocks and removing them, right? Minecraft is more than that. And so this is the main difference between actually the trial period and the whole freemium model. I will give you some examples, so it will be much easier to get what I mean. However, first, I would like to give you, well, some points why it is actually good to go freemium in mobile market. Why is it profitable? Why does it work? First, what you do when you go freemium is you move the toll gate. The toll gate is basically a barrier of the cost of the game. The player comes to the, well, App Store, sees your game, and then he sees, okay, it costs $1.99. Most of the players will not buy that. They don't know what your game is like. So if you remove that barrier and place it somewhere in the middle of the game, when the player already has an idea of what your game is like, so then you move that toll gate, that psychological barrier that prevents the users to get into your title. You eliminate the distrust. If the game is free, you don't have to think, okay, if I'm going to buy it and it will be, well, a boring title, or if I'm going to buy it and then it's just not something I like, then I should have, I should write and ask for a refund or something. Well, all those stuff, it's gone. You don't have to worry about that as a user when you see the premium title. Freemium, I'm sorry. As I have said before, you also reach the broad audience simply by attracting more people. The more people you get into your game, even if they will never buy a single thing inside your game, it still is going to work for your profit, for your revenues. Because you build up a large audience that may be interested in your future titles, that may be, well, interested in something you advertise in your game. They may tell their friends that your game is good. So basically, any kind of audience that you build up around your game is good. It's not something that will ever work against you. So you establish a reputation. All of us will like free things. Well, that's just how human mind works. We like free stuff. We like getting free stuff. And when you give the players free stuff, they're going to like it. They're going to, well, increase your reputation. They're going to tell the others, basically, well, those guys are nice. They're nice developers. They're giving the games for free. Go and check it out. So this is how you do it. And then, as I have just said, you invest in future titles because of you attracting a large audience. So that's basically the reasons why it is good to go freemium, why it is profitable, and why is it, well, it's not worth to go premium in the mobile industry right now. I'll show you one game of ours, which we have developed, and it is actually a very successful title, one of our most successful titles. As you can see, it has over 40 million downloads on all the platforms. It has been released for Android, for iOS, for consoles, for, well, Nintendo DS, for all different kind of, well, platforms. And the average rating of that game is 4.5 on Google Play. So it is an extremely well-received title. And what is it actually? Well, it's a compilation of games. It's more than 100 games in one package. And 10 of those games are given for free. So anyone can just download it and play it. You don't charge any money for that. And if those players, well, like the game, they can either choose to buy the rest of the games for real money, or they can keep playing and earning points in order to spend those points to buy more games. So you provide the premium, well, content, the rest of the games for a price. However, you still allow the players to experience those games for free. There is no time limit. The players don't have to, they are not getting restricted all the time. No one places any walls and says, okay, now you have played for 10 minutes and in order to keep playing, you have to pay some price. So that doesn't happen. And everyone liked it, as you can see. So basically, you may think now that I am promoting freemium model actively and saying that the premium doesn't work and it's not good and you shouldn't actually, well, ask for a price for your game. It's not true. There is no silver bullet, and that is, well, this is why. When you develop your game, when you decide that you are going to go, well, out there into the market and sell your game and get some, well, revenue out of it, you have to evaluate your market. Where are you going? What kind of market that is? What kind of audience that is? Is it a paying audience? Will they actually pay the price that you want them to? If it's a mobile market, then probably you have to evaluate the, well, average price of an app on that market. Well, it's around $2 on iOS, and if you are going to put like $6 for your, well, title, then no one is going to buy it. You have to design it from scratch. You can, of course, you can slap a freemium word on your premium game by just cutting a piece of it and trying to give it out for free. But it doesn't always work. It's not really easy to do that. Recently, a very well-known developer and publisher, Blizzard, has answered a player's, well, plead to make their game, World of Warcraft, free. Players basically said, look, your game is 10 years old. If you make it free, you are going to earn more users. More people are going to play it. You will allow those people that don't want to pay for your game every month to get into it. It's for your own good. And then the representative of Blizzard basically said one thing. It was not designed to be free. And that is basically a good point, because you cannot always easily remake the game into the free title or the opposite. You're not going to do it efficiently because you haven't thought about it from the beginning. You will probably miss some points and your game will, the quality will suffer. So think about it from the start. Do not, well, try to change your game afterwards if it doesn't work to go premium. Quality is the key. Of course, with every game, quality is the key. When you release your game, you want it, well, you want everyone to like it, basically. However, if you go freemium, then everyone is going to see the quality of your game before they actually pay. So they will launch the game, they will see what it is, and if it's not good, then probably no one is going to give you any money. They will play it for free and say, well, I've had enough. So when you go freemium, this point is actually even stronger. You have to consider it. You have to make sure your game is up to par. And of course, you have to find the pricing balance of your game. If you decide to go to the mobile market and ask $20 for a game, $20 is not that much on the console market, right? I mean, $20 is a good price. The average price on the console market is $60. But what is going to happen if you are going to put a $20 price for your app on the mobile market? No one is going to buy it. You can see the games like that on the iOS store. Square Enix publishes lots of games that are pretty expensive. And most people that are buying those games are the fans. No one else is going to do that because that's expensive. That's what you have to evaluate. you have to find the pricing balance for the market you're going to. So that was basically what I wanted to tell you, what I wanted to, well, give you today. And if there will be any questions, I'm going to answer them. So please ask away after I'm finished with the Twitter. Mm-hmm. So here's the question. What does it take to be a good game designer? Well, to be a good designer, probably you have to like games, to understand games, and to understand your users, not only the games. So it's not typically enough if you just like playing something, like if you enjoy Battlefield a lot, you cannot just go and design a Battlefield. Well, what it takes is actually understanding what your users want and what you can do in order to satisfy their needs. So, of course, being a game designer is, it's not a work that is done alone, I would say. It is a work that is done in a group. It's a communication work. You always communicate with your colleagues, with the artists, with the programmers. Understanding your team is another key feature, I mean, for being a good game developer. So that's probably the answer to the question, and I hope it will satisfy the person who has asked it. So, do you have any more questions, since there are no more on Twitter? Yes?
I have a more specific question. So let's take the genre March 3.
Mm-hmm.
How does it meet the current market situation to release that game, let's say, in 3 months? So it's not the typical one, but let's say it has some spin-offs in the core mechanic.
I'm not sure if I understood your question correctly. You mean if you want to release a match 3 game now, or in a half a year? Well, it all comes down to what your game is going to offer to the players, what hasn't been offered yet. Well, there are lots of match 3 games on the market. It's like the most popular puzzle mechanic probably right now. And if you're going just to take another match 3 and release it into the market, well, probably it will find some users, but it will all come down to the quality of your game, to how it looks, what are the graphics, and I mean, what are the features? Because match 3 games have been done to death, and everyone is doing them. It's easy. It's basically a safe thing to develop a match 3 game and go and publish it. But again, it's hard to say if it's going to be successful, and especially in half a year, because even more of them will appear. So you have to think of what you're going to offer your users that they don't have already. So the perspectives are always there. You can create a good match 3 game that everyone is going to like. But, well, you have to think how to do that. I hope I have answered your question. Thank you. Any more questions? Okay, thank you then. And have a good day.